Hello, welcome back to another tutorial. In this video, I'll be talking on how to make this beautiful dress.
Firstly, this is the fabric we'll be using. This is the fabric we'll be using for the video. It's a crepe material. This is a crepe material. We'll be using it for the video, for the tutorial, for the project for today. It's a crepe material. And its length is 60 inches in length. The length of this is 60 inches. So the first thing we'll be doing is to fold into two. We'll be folding the fabric first into two, then fold again into four. That's first step. For the first step, that's the full length of the gown. So the full length of the gown, we're using the whole fabrics. This is a chiffon material or a crepe chiffon material, not really the light chiffon, but the main chiffon material. So we're using the full length of the material, which is by 16 inches. So we're using the full length. So the next thing we'll be taking is mapping out, because it's an off shoulder dress, so we'll be taking -5. We'll be reducing it, coming down by -5 inches from here. This is -5 inches down to the full length of the gown. This is -5, which is here. Then we'll mark out our bust measurements horizontally. We'll be using 9 inches. For the full length of the gown, we are using the full measurements. We are using the full length of this material. For the gown, we are using the full length of the material for the gown. Then, for the upper part of it, because it's an off-shoulder dress, I'll be using -5 inches. That is, I'll be coming in by 5 inches. Reduction of 5 inches. This is 5 inches. So, the full length. Then for the bust measurements, I'll be using 9 inches. I'll be using 9 inches horizontally. 9 inches. This is 9 inches. Then I will mark it out. The bust measurements. The main specific thing we need here is just the bust measurements and the full length of the gown. That is the main thing we need in this tutorial. That's in this project. So, and for the person's bust measurements, we have 36 inches. So we divide it by 4. We divide 36 into 4. And that will give us 9 inches. 9 inches. Then we'll add extra 2 inches allowance for the seam. You can decide to add 1 inch, half inch, one more than. It depends on what you want, on your priority. But for me, I'll be using 2 inches allowance. So that is 11 inches for it. So this is my point. This is the horizontal length here, which is 9, -5 to 9. Then this is the vertical, the points, the bust measurements. So this is what we have for that one. So this is for bust measurements. So the next thing we'll do is we're going to mark or attach our shoulder measurements on the bust line. So our shoulder measurement is 15. That is from here, 15 down. So, and 15 divided by 2 will give us 7.5. So from here, from the center points, we will attach the shoulder measurements, which is 7.5. So you see, this is our shoulder measurements. This is our bust measurements. Then from this, our shoulder measurements will come in by 2 inches. You can either come in by 2 inches or 2.5, depends on what you want. But I'll be coming in by 2 inches from the shoulder measurements attached on the bust line. So from here, then I'll go up by 4 inches, which is exactly what we minus. You remember we used -5 inches for the distance. So here now we have going up by 4 inches, which is on the point exactly here. So this is what we have. This is the bust points. These are shoulder measurements. Then this is the 2 inches we went in. So I will come up by 4 inches. So what we did here is to connect we came in by 4 inches here, so we have to connect it to the bust point. From here to the bust point, you connect it. Then here for the neck area, we'll come down by 2 inches. Then also connect it to this one to form this shape, to form the curve. That is what we have there. So the next thing we're going to be doing is to draw or to mark down the full length of the gown. So from here now, we'll just make a slight curve. You come in a little from this bust point, make a slight curve down. To the edge of the gown. That is what we are going to do. Then after which we'll now cut it out. So this is it. This is what we have. Cutting it out. So this still goes down. We'll come to the edge of the gown. Then for the edge of the gown, like the down part of the gown, we'll be trimming out a little to make a slight curve on it. So this way. To make it a little bit curvy. So this is what we have for the cutting. The next thing we'll be doing is we'll be cutting out the stripe for. So we'll be using one side for the front and one side for the back. So on a general note, this is what we have. So the next thing we'll be doing now is to cut the stripe for the neck area and the armhole. That's what we're going to be doing. The armhole of the armpit. So that's what we'll do next, to cut out the stripes for it. For me, in order to achieve the stripes for the neckline, we have to be using the neck area measurements for it. So this is the gown. This is one side of the gown. So I have to take the measurements for here, how many inches it is, to enable me to to know the specific length for it. So approximately here, I have 11.5 inches for this neck area. So I have to be cutting a stripe that is 11 inches long. Then I'll be using 1.5 inch in the width of it. So for the stripe, I marked out is 11.5 inches. So I approximated it to 12 inches. So from here to here is 12 inches. And I'm using 1.5 inches for the width of it. The length is 12 inches, the width is 1.5 inches. So I'll be cutting out. Remember, it's two sides, the back piece and the front piece. So this is what we have for our neck area. Then the next thing we'll be cutting out is a stripe for our armhole and the one that will lie on our shoulder. That's the next one we'll be cutting out. So still using the same, taking the measurements, the accurate measurements from the fabric or the material we have cut already. So for the one that will lie on our shoulder, we'll be using 10 inches. Will be 10 inches. That's what we're using for the back, for this edge here and here. Okay, let me show you on my manicure what I'm talking about. What I'm trying to say is the one that will lie on the shoulder, like from here to here, the stripe that will be on this, the edge of the shoulder. That's what I'm trying to say. So that's what we're going to cut. So we have to use, it will be 10 inches from here to here. We'll be using 10 inches for it. Then we have to take the armhole measurement of the gown, of the fabric we have cut already. Then add it with the 10 inches that will be here to get that's the appropriate length for it, for the stripe. So for the stripe now, we'll be having 10 inches, then 9 inches plus 9 inches. Remember that it's two sides, it's a two peaks, body front and the back, and they have different, like two sides armhole. So we'll be having 9 plus 9, which will give us 18, plus 10 inches, which is 28 inches. That's what we're going to be cutting out, 28 inches for the stripe. Then the width will be 1.5. This, after cutting it out, we will use it to cut out the other side of the stripe. So this is what we have. Don't mind me, I'm using the front side of it to cut. On a normal day, you have to use the back side, the wrong side of the fabric to cut. So I'm sorry, I'm using the right side to cut. So this is what we have for the stripe, the two stripes that will lie on the shoulder and on the armhole. So this is what we have. The next thing we are going to be doing is the stitching part of it. Thank you so much for watching this one. Kindly subscribe, share, like, and leave your comments in the comment section. Thank you. So after stitching it this way, we'll now pipe out. Then the next thing we do is to hold this in this way. the other part of the gown, the other part of the bodice. So this is what we have. And then we work on the other part of the bodice. This is the neck area. So this is what we have after piping the neck. This is what it looks like this way. This is what we have. This is what it looks like. So we have done the same to the other part of the bodice. What we'll be working next on is the armhole and the stripe that will lie on the shoulder. So what we're going to do using our sewing machine is just like how we attach this one, that's what we're going to do to this one too. So from this armhole, we're going to stitch here and pipe out, then do the same thing to the other side of the dress. So that's what we're going to do now using our sewing machine. So this is what we have after stitching the two ends of it, these four sides. So what we've been doing next is to pipe this. We're going to use this, pipe it, then stitch on it to form a proper stripe. So this is how it is. It's now to stitch on them to achieve our main aim. So that's what we're going to do now using our sewing machine. So this is what we have. The next thing we'll be doing is to shape the two sides of the gown. The inner side, we shape the two sides. We want to stitch down to the edge, to the base of the gown. That's what we are doing next. So after attaching the stripes properly, the next thing we'll do is to run a stitch by the two sides of the bodice down to the base of the gown. That's what we're going to do. From here, we'll run a stitch down to the base of the gown. So after attaching this thing and shaping the two sides of it, the next thing is the base of this gown. What we're going to do to it is either you fold in, you hem it, or you use a weaving, industrial weaving machine to run the down of it. So after that, your gown is ready, then you weave the insides to close the rough edges. That's what you're going to do.